Hello everybody, I'm Conquering History Games and welcome to a brand new campaign and indeed a brand new mod on the channel. Today I am going to be playing some Hearts of Iron 4 using the mod Age of Imperialism, version beta 1.0. Now, some of you have seen and we have seen a little bit of this on a live stream that I did recently. But fundamentally, we're going to be going into this blind. So whenever I'm playing a new mod, if you're looking at the name of the video and you're seeing the thumbnail, you know who I've picked already. But let me explain why I'm going with a part of Mexico. Whenever I always have a great deal of difficulty whenever I'm playing a new mod deciding what country it is that I'm going to play. Because I don't know the world yet. And while there is something to be said for maybe jumping into a major empire, Germany usually is a pretty popular one. As you can see, it's like the one as soon as when you walk in, like if you go back to it just automatically puts you on Germany. Because it's a major country, people like to play it. They like to see, okay, what's this world like without Hitler? I find that major powers have too much happening to really get a good glimpse of what's happening on the global scale. So I kind of tend to prefer to play a more marginal nation. These can still be very, very interesting in mods. So, for example, you guys know that Argentina is one that I like to do the first time I play a mod, or at least early on in a mod's history. Check out my Führerreich Argentina campaigns, for example. But I thought I would go with something a little bit different. We're going to still be in Latin America, but what we're going to be doing is playing one of the Mexicos, which in this mod, which starts in 1931, is divided in two because you have the Mexican government and the Cristero government. And we're going to be playing as the Cristeros, so that way we can kind of leap right into some action, but we're not, for example, the head of a faction, and we could kind of look at what's going on in the rest of the world after we hopefully win this civil war, and we'll see how much or how little isolated we are. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what the Cristero Rebellion is, or the Cristero War is. Once we jump in, but I'm not going to talk about. I'm not going to get too much into the war for like explaining the historical context of the war for a couple of reasons, but also so we could also just focus on this alternate history. And of course, once I win, we're going to be off the rails. So, brief history. Mexico has been in the sphere of an endless crisis for many decades, but it was the Calles government, known as God's personal enemy, that overwhelmed the cup of bitterness and led to the outbreak of a wide-ranging civil war. The civil war between government forces and the so-called Cristeros has attracted international attention, and support for both sides seems to be pouring in from all over the world. The year 1931 seems to bring about the long-awaited resolution of this conflict. So, a quick overview. I guess that we're almost 4 minutes in. So this is fundamentally a world. I should have gotten the white font. Whatever. This is a world where World War I did not happen, but there still were various regional conflicts. But nothing has tipped over into full-blown world war, at least not yet. Let's see what the new years bring. I don't know a whole lot about the lore right now because, I'm sort of wanting to go into this blind. So let's just go ahead and get started, shall we? Or at least jump into the game. And then I'll talk a little bit about what this rebellion is. So, for those of you who... Oh, let's just read this. Welcome to... I guess let's read the hello. Welcome to the Age of Imperialism, a mod telling a story about a world where... By the way, because this is a beta, we're gonna be a little bit lenient on any potential bugs, grammatical issues, misspellings, things like that. As long as focus trees aren't like locking themselves or templates are wigging out or whatever, as long as nothing's fundamentally hurting mechanics of the game, I'm not really going to complain too much. We're exploring here. So welcome to the Age of Imperialism, a mod telling a story about a world where the Great War did not take place. Many problems were solved in a much less bloody way, and the world itself seems to be much more stable. The question is, for how long? Oh yeah, and they have their own radio, which we're going to be listening to. We invite you to our Discord. You can share with us your opinion about our work, inform us of any mistakes. We want to thank you on behalf of the entire development team for playing our mod. We hope your impression of the game will be as good as possible. I hope so too. Indeed, I do. I want mods to be successful. Oh, excuse me. Sorry, something caught in my throat there. Okay. So, the Cristero Rebellion. So, what you have to understand about Mexico is Mexico, in the early 1800s, managed to successfully get its independence from Spain. It then went through a long period of government that sort of culminates in Porfirio Diaz, who is this figure of... A lot of figures in Mexican history are very mixed in their legacies. So Porfirio Diaz is somebody who's seen as industrializing and modernizing the country, but was doing so in such a bad way, in a way that leads to the Mexican Revolution, which I'm not going to get into because I like to call the Mexican Revolution the Finnegan's Wake of world revolutions. It's very strange at various times. But what you just need to know is that coming out of it, you get what becomes known eventually as the PRI party, although that won't happen until the 40s. But it's this institutionalized revolutionary party. Yes, like here they're the PNR, they're not the PRI. And they create a new constitution, and this party is gonna, in real life, be in charge of Mexico's affairs for decades. For like over 70 years historically. Now the PRI, as we know it, has actually, this part of the timeline would have only been founded a couple of years earlier, and they're currently under the party, and the government is currently be led by Plutarco Calles, and he has triggered the Cristero Rebellion. So the Cristero Rebellion was I really should have typed up some notes, but basically it was this event that happens in Mexico, and I'm going to be a little bit vague at times because there's a lot of different sources say different things about how widespread this rebellion really was, and I'm not an expert in Mexico's internal history, but basically Calles decides to begin enforcing various aspects of the Mexican Constitution, which are very anti-clerical and anti-Catholic, because the government wanted to be the primary power in people's lives, not the Catholic Church. Now, this had not been particularly well enforced previously, some of these articles, and there was also a bit of internal debate about how stringent these anti-clerical measures are, because some interpretations see it as it's supposed to just be a separation of church and state, similar to the United States Constitution, where it's just we're not going to support a church or any religion, but the church will not, but we're not going to persecute it either. It's we're just neutral, that is outside of government. And then there's other interpretations, a harsher interpretation that Calles took, that bishops and the Catholic Church in general needed to not, and priests needed to not exist in Mexico. Now, that doesn't mean necessarily killing them, although there are certainly reports of killings that happened during the rebellion of priests. The numbers, again, are all over the place, so I don't really want to give you any hard numbers, because I've seen numbers that say 250,000 people died in the Cristeros Rebellion. I've seen numbers that say hundreds, maybe thousands died. So obviously there was this enormous gap. Now, when I read about the history of Mexico, I usually go to the Henry Bamford Parks book, A History of Mexico, which I have right here in it. But it's literally, the pages are literally falling off the spine. So I probably need to find something more modern to replace this book. But anyway. So what you just need to know is the government begins to increase its God, I really should have made notes. I'm trying to think of the right words to use because it's such a tricky conflict. But Diaz is enforcing anti-clerical law. And he's doing things like closing Catholic schools. He's forcing priests that are still around to register with the government, trying to say that the government is the one who gets to pick the priests, and is also deporting non-Mexican priests and nuns and stuff. And so the priests end up going on strike. There's no Catholic service that takes place in Moscow starting in 1926, and the government starts to take over the churches, and so this starts the 3-year-long Cristero Rebellion, which again, lots of numbers are thrown around, lots of accusations are thrown around about what each side did during this rebellion. It's kind of similar to trying to research the Vendée Rebellion during the French Revolution, where it's been called a genocide to just foreign meaning England sponsored domestic terrorism. It's a really tricky subject to get a grasp on. So what you could just basically think of it as this is an anti-revolutionary uprising, which eventually ends with a peace treaty, and the Catholic Church is able to continue to operate in Mexico, where of course it is very strong, pretty much to the modern day. So what we're going to try to do is we're going to try to paint a world where the Cristeros actually managed to overthrow the Mexican government, and we're going to see what kind of things pop up from there. We are reactionism, maintenance of organic and associated national identities are main principles. National reactionaries regard the liberal and socialist influence as an element inherently harmful to cultural heritage of the nation. And we're fighting against socialismo under Diaz. So, is there anything? Gosh, I've already talked about this for way too long, but again, really, really tricky. I keep saying this, it's tricky to nail down. I've read that, thousands of priests were kicked out of Mexico and things like this over the course of it. But in just a sample of how weird internal conflict can get in Mexico, the Ku Klux Klan, not the United States of America, although the United States of America had a dog in this fight, which we'll talk about maybe in another episode, but the Ku Klux Klan actually sent money to the government because they're like, oh, the Mexican government is trying to fight and kill Catholics, so yeah, let's help them do that. Let's give them some cash, pay for their dinner, I guess. Can't kill Catholics on an empty stomach. And get that drop for Conquering History Games, taken out of Conquering History Games quotes out of context. You can't kill Catholics if you're on an empty stomach. So anyway, I think I've babbled too much. We're just going to go ahead and start the war now. They got voice acting in here, which is cool, unless they've already had this in base Vanilla Hearts of Iron 4 and I didn't know. Now, I think the goal here is going to be that we need to, we just need to try to isolate some of the Mexican divisions early, so then they're not going to be able to fill in their front lines. Not that I could do that either, but it looks like we've got some cavalry, some infantry, good stuff overall. I might actually switch all of my infantry over to cavalry if I'm feeling a little daring. let's start just getting a lot of things started here. Okay, so let's start getting some start. The Civil War in Mexico has been smoldering for several years now, and in connection with the failure of the Washington Conference, the escalation of the conflict seems obvious. We must secure foreign support for our cause, so the 1931 turns out to be a victorious year. Yeah, it looks like we do have focuses that we are going to be able to take here, but there's only so many. A lot of this stuff, yeah. We need victory to have taken place. This needs victory to take place. Yeah, things like that. So, has completed focus, governmental collapse. So, yeah, if we until we overthrow the government, we're not going to be able to get access to a lot of our focus tree. So obviously that's priority 1. Let's change this color for sure. No. Maybe a little lighter. No, let's go with. Why is it showing red? Why is it red when I'm not clicking red? Very strange. Okay, the yellow pops. That'll work. So let's just get to it. Wait. Yeah, let's keep doing a little bit more of some of the little things here and there. Soldiers' uniforms, defense and breakthrough, whatever. Let's just get some basic machine tools. Go with the construction. Yeah, we'll just keep it simple around here. Okay, obviously, as I'm sure a lot of you have seen, there's a different aesthetic in this, which I like. It helps mods differentiate each other. Look at that. Look at that. That's great. This will just get some infrastructure going in Guadalajara. And I think the goal here is we got a micro. That is the name of the game. And let's see if we can cut this guy off. Yes, I know there's a port there, but if they want to start sending their troops all the way around South America so they can land in Baja California, I'm not going to stop them from doing that. We're going to switch this guy to the Caballera. Let's try to take Veracruz and Coatzacoalcos there. Mexico City is looking pretty full. I don't think we're going to try to take that right away, but let's see if we can kind of secure the Yucatan Peninsula out here. Well, we've got air wings. That's cool. Because let's use them, right? And we have a little navy, funnily enough. I guess we'll send it out. Probably don't really need it for anything. Actually, I probably shouldn't be doing that. It's going to eat up my oil, which I need for my motorized divisions. Okay, you attack here at Potosi, you attack there, and then we're going to also turn you into cavalry, and I want to send you across. So once I've done that, it's not going to quite cut off the north, because again, they do have that port there, but it will start to separate their forces. And of course, if we can get them bottled up somewhere, like if we can just surround Mexico City, if nothing else, we'll eventually wear them down if we take the rest of the country. But we will see what happens. And you know what? I think I'm just going to delete these frontline orders. We're just microing this. There's no point in them. They're going to make our divisions act kind of silly. And we will also be just just keeping an eye out for events around the world. I'm not going to read them all, but we'll skim them, kind of get a sense of what's happening. I'm seeing red bubbles, but that's fine. I'm just trying to encircle right now. The 20th century for Mexico is almost endless internal struggle. In 1920, the presidential election was to take place, in which Venustiano Carranza was unable to hold the presidential office again due to the... Oh, you know what? Real quick. Funny story. During the Cristero election of the war. So there was this one governor in Mexico. I don't remember. Let me check my book here. What was his name? Yeah, in Tabasco, governed by Garrido Cannibal. Who this was in like 1930. The tropical state of Tabasco, governed by Gallardo Canabal, a fantastic dictator who had organized a band of anti-clerical red shirts and had named one of his children Lucifer and another Lenin, had already decreed that no priest could enter the state unless he were legally married. So that's just a funny little thing. Okay, so ban on re-election, so he chose for his successor Ignacio Bonias, a politically unknown Mexican ambassador to the United States. However, the triumvirate of the Sonoran generals Alvarado Obregón, Plutarco Elias Calles, Adolfo de la Huerta carried out a successful coup d'etat. His military was very powerful in these days. Obregón became the new president who had to maneuver between the Mexican left and right. Despite being a conservative, he was also a reformer who started introducing moderate agricultural reform. In 1923, Elias Calles was elected as his successor, which resulted in the defeat of the rebellion of Adolfo de la Huerta, who had to go into exile. Triumvirate's breaking apart, tale as old as time, or at least as old as ancient Rome. In 1924, Plutarco Elias Calles became president of Mexico, and immediately after taking office, he began to introduce anti-clerical laws, which were included in the Constitution in such a tough matter that it took on an anti-religious form. This caused dissatisfaction among Catholics who decided to protest in 1926, but due to lack of successful, peaceful, and brutal response from government, the protests turned into a regular uprising in 1927. In 1928, Alvarado Obregón was murdered by José de León Toral, who considered the former president to be the actual creator of anti-religious political line of Mexican government, thinking that Calles was only his puppet. So it didn't turn out that Calles acted independently and decided to deal with the insurgents by force. This caused the Cristeros Rebellion to evolve into an actual civil war, another one in its troublesome history. Soon it became a scene of international play as European powers who wanted to gain influence in Mexico, that is, Germany, Russia, and Italy, started supporting Cristeros. Well, by contrast, government units are supported by the United States and the United Kingdom that want to maintain their influence in Mexico. Both sides of the conflict are convinced of their righteousness, and both believe their victory will come in 1931. Viva Cristo Rey. Another fun fact, El Paso, which is not on this map, but here at the tip of Texas, is a town that I was born and raised in, and has a Mount Cristo Rey, where there is a huge statue of Jesus on the top of it, kind of like the one in Brazil. Obviously not as big, but yeah, well, that's just fun. Fun facts with Conquering History games. Alright, so we're keeping them pinned here in Puebla. Oh goodness, they have tanks. So we're just kind of keeping an eye on everything. I'm not wanting to go too fast just yet. Of course, you know, we're trying to keep an eye on this cav and this cav, because then it looks like we'll be able to cut off at least 2 divisions here. We have 12. They have somewhere from 7 to 18. Obviously, they have significantly more factories. So yeah, if we can chop off a couple of their divisions here and there, they're going to be really incapable at all of you know, holding the line. There we go. Cool. So that's part of it. Okay. Let's start zigzagging and taking some of these victory points. Well, this guy keeps him pinned. Let's see if this guy's going to move. Yeah, he is. Okay, so we're going to have to continue to attack here. That's why we're taking Chihuahua first. So then even if they get this tile back, they'll still be surrounded in the north. Meanwhile, over here, things are looking quite good. I'm so sorry. Let me turn that sound off on my phone. There we go. Sorry about that. Anyway. Okay. Alright, so we've got a unit getting pinned here, yeah, by the tank from Mexico City. Or another, no, there's 2 tanks, so they have a tank unit here in Mexico City, and there's another one right here. Insufficient intel. Not too surprised by that. And we definitely do not have factories to build our own agency, so we're groping in the dark out here quite a lot.
Preparados. Listos y a la espera de órdenes.
Okay, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. That's gonna be it. There we go. Okay, so we have a nice surrounded pocket here. Very good. We're gonna try to... I should have done this earlier. We're gonna send some more cav down here. And let's come up here and secure Matamoros. They are 0% of the way toward capitulation. Okay. Don't like seeing that. But, again, yeah, if we could just bottle them up in Mexico City. We're going to be going very slow. But, hey, at least I unpaused, right? In the first episode, you don't see that every day. What's also going to suck here is that we do not... You know, actually, you're the one that needs to be turning north. There we go. And start going to work on them. Did they spawn this unit here? What the fuck is going on? That's strange. Well, he's got nowhere to go. He's just wandering around. Even if he links back up over here, he's still not going to have supply available to them. So we're taking these cities behind them again to reduce the supply that they have available to them. God, even my freaking cavalry division in the north is suffering from attrition. It's not good. It's really not good. Okay, you stop. You don't need to be staying there anymore. Oh, actually, apparently you do. Yeah, they're trying to reinforce Veracruz. I'm willing to bet there's nobody in there right now. Okay. Alright, this is looking really good. Mexican government's already 29% of the way toward capitulation. That's because I took Oaxaca. But there's no way they're going to drop before without me having taken Mexico City. That's the big prize. It's worth 25. Did they just leave it empty? Am I looking at this correctly? Oh my gosh. I think they just totally fucking blew it if they just left Mexico City empty. Because then where are they going to move their capital to? The aftermath of the Washington Conference. So this was the thing that was getting brought up. The previous year seemed to give reasons for a more optimistic view of the future, thanks to the ceasefire introduced for the duration of the Washington Congress, to which the main forces were invited by the Americans and decided to take an active stance on the Mexican Civil War. Unfortunately, due to the lack of agreement between the camps supporting us, in particular Russia and Italy, and the forces supporting the Calles government, in essence, the United States of America and Great Britain, the ceasefire was interrupted just before the new year. During the holiday season, the Mexican Civil War will therefore continue until the total victory of one side. Calles will be destroyed! Yeah. So we're going to get more stability, more manpower, more support, and then Russia and Italy will get a call to crusade. So I think we saw that when we were testing things out, just kind of seeing if the mod was functioning before in that one live stream. So they're going to get an option to intervene. Knights of Columbus. Many groups across the world are willing to pledge their support, ranging from money to manpower, in our war against Calles. So we'll get the Knights of Columbus, which will grant us weekly manpower plus 1,000, a recruitable population of 2%. Nice. Division attack on core territory, 5%. Division defense on core territory, plus 10%. And it helps with trade deals also, which is cool, I guess. Alright, we took Veracruz. Very nice. This Puebla, I think he's trying to go north of Mexico City, actually. Not directly at it, but we will attack it nonetheless to stop that potential reinforcement from happening. Now, let's start poking at these divisions. Yes, we're seeing the red bubbles, but I just want them to start using up rifles and whatnot. Very jazzy. Political dilemmas. Dang it, they got somebody in Mexico City after all. Alright, that's fine. We're just going to stop. I knew that was too easy. So, the Russians want to send us 2 divisions and air wings. Thank you. So does Italy. You got it. So, in this timeline, Russia is absolutely enormous, if you guys couldn't see. And they're the head of their own faction. The Soyuzniki. And Nicholas II is still running around. Now, the Italians are not in their own faction, but they're, like, important. Germany has its own Reichspakt. African colonies and whatnot here. But you see, look, the Russians are in Africa. They're helping Ethiopia. There is the Commonwealth of Nations, which is basically the British Empire. And then there is the United States led League of Nations, which is mostly their colonies, but the Republic of China under Chiang Kai-shek is part of them. So the United States, but I'm willing to take suggestions on other ones. The United States will probably be who I play if I play this again, this mod. Let's do one campaign at a time, though. We'll be checking them out. But I guess that's going to be it for today. So thank you very much for joining me. I hope you didn't mind how long I was taking on the historical thing. Thank you very much for joining me. I'm Conquering History Games. And yeah, next time we will win this rebellion. And I think we will, or we'll at least get pretty close. If we can bottle them up in Mexico City, it would just be a matter of time eventually. But we got a nice encirclement here, and I think we're going to be able to lock down the Yucatan. And also, from now on, I'm not going to be numbering the episodes, but I will be still putting the numbers in the title. It's just a YouTube thing. YouTube's algorithm hates people putting numbers in the titles. But also, I try to do this with all of my campaigns, for those of you who don't know, is I put a playlist in the description that'll have all the episodes listed, so that's just like a convenient place you could watch from. Anyway, I'm Conquering History Games, and I'll see you next time. Bye.